What is up, Dragon Ball Super community? This is Marcus, Danny, and Shane with your GnG Elite Dragon Ball Super team. We have guests Namvo and Neil here from the Dabbers team. We're going to be talking about the Dabbers 2K later in September, and the way organized play has been handled this season, and what we think they could maybe do better, and some of the decks from top 16 at Gencon. So I'll just start off by letting Nam and Neil introduce themselves for anybody that doesn't know them.
Go ahead, Neil.
Well, my name's Neil, representing Team Dabbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Nam,
This is Scrub.
also from Team Dabbers. Excited to have a chat tonight.
Yeah, and we really appreciate y'all being here. We wanted to get some word out there for y'all, or at least try to help for the 2K that's coming up in September.
Definitely.
Really stoked about that, yeah.
So what can you tell us about that for anybody that doesn't know?
So it's going to be September 28th. It's going to be our 2K. Entry is about $30, and we're trying to pay out minimum $2,000. If we get up to 100 players, it's going to be basically a 3K. And right now, we're currently trying to get top 8 mats made. So no promises, but it's like 90% sure we're going to have that too.
I mean, this sounds pretty exciting. Any spoilers on what might be on the mats? Maybe.
Nothing yet.
Okay. just blank black play mats. There you go.
Say top 8 on them.
It's just
And
just in white Sharpie.
We're also going to have it streamed as well.
Oh, excellent!
Nice,
Cool.
nice.
I don't think we really get enough of that like quality stream coverage. I know Butters, Devin Buttersworth in South Florida did a stream for a Victory Strike tournament that they were running, and that turned out really well from what I understand.
Definitely.
Yeah, his stream was top notch for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, for anybody that is interested in high-level competitive play, that's paying out pretty well. What store are we looking for? What location? Where's that at?
That's going to be Dabbers, and it's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Excellent. So that's a good location too. Lots of things to do around there. So this organized play season has been pretty interesting because of how differently they've handled things from previous seasons, or last season rather. What do you think they've done right this season when it comes to general like high level organized play? Let's start with Shane.
I think the introduction of the stamped cards as price support is pretty good. Like, Bandai's realizing that they don't have to do cash as pricing. They can essentially print money with promo cards.
Do you think that maybe it would be in their best interest to print exclusive promos that are paid out not necessarily to like the top 2 or 3, but among like top 16 or top 32 or whatever, to give something that actually retains value over time?
An idea I brought up on a post earlier today was that for like big events like regionals and whatnot, for like first or maybe like first, second, third, doing like chibi secret rare alternate arts.
Okay.
Because like there's so few put into circulation, it won't really impact the market. Whereas the alt-art chibis will be so exclusive, they'll be worth quite a lot. Like, you imagine an alternate art Victory Strike and the price tag it would fetch?
Yeah, I mean, the metal cards were really cool for Nationals last year, and they definitely had some value to them, but there wasn't like a significant market for them. It was mostly just collectors. Whereas like what you're explaining would be a good option for players as well that want to bling out their deck.
I also think the meta leader cards would do better if they actually try harder to do meta relevant leaders, not sell unnecessary.
Well, not only that, but I think the metal cards are more like a trophy because you can't really play with them. They're kind of hard to read.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. They're technically legal for play, but you're totally right that they are definitely difficult to read.
So,
yeah, like I wanted to hold mine for a while, but I just ended up selling it.
Exactly. If it's a physical card, as long as it's like an alt art, I'd be okay with. But if it's, when you say like exclusive, if it's got a brand new effect, like you can only get that, I would not be for that. That would just
no,
yeah,
it would break the game.
So
and alternate arts is a great idea.
I definitely agree with alternate arts, and I think would it be too far fetched to have brand new exclusive cards if we had more events in our competitive play season, but when we have an average of one regional a month, it seems like that's just not enough to put enough into circulation for it to not feel like a pay-to-win game, you know? So
Yeah.
I can definitely agree with that. Danny, what do you think they've done right this season?
So I liked how they attempted to make locals kind of matter. I don't like the prelim format just as a whole. I don't like the thought of like an open and an invite-only tournament. But the fact that they tried to make locals matter more is pretty cool. I think maybe like the point system that they're doing with their little online system is pretty good. Maybe being able to make it to where people who are at a locals level who can't always travel can maybe attend nationals by racking up to like X amount of points or something like that.
That's
I don't
fair.
know if that might help or promote like unhealthy like gameplay at a locals level with maybe like people like trying to buy wins or anything. But I think it's definitely a cool option, and I don't think it would see too much of an impact anywhere else. So
What about you, Nam? What do you think they've done right this season?
You guys pretty much covered all my thoughts. I do like the pricing they're starting to give out. Like the promos and stuff are much more playable than they have been.
Right.
Like Vegeta coming out has made multiple decks viable again. Like Toad became a real deck.
Demigrassing
Libra,
6x. Yeah.
things like that. Yeah.
And what about you, Neil?
I really like the fact that they're listening to the community a lot more. They revamped a lot of the pricing structure, and I thought that was really cool of them because they didn't have to really do anything, but they saw the problem and they really wanted to fix it, and they're really helping us out by doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think another thing worth noting is I think they've acknowledged the fact that splitting up the regionals into open and closed wasn't a good idea. And their way of fixing that without like completely abolishing it, like, was them making the invites last both seasons. Because now, come September, majority of people are going to be in the invitational.
Because they'll have had 2 full rotations to try to get their invite for their
yeah.
tournament.
And the fact that they pass it down. So if you got your prelim invite already, you can't top again and then steal it from somebody else. Just pass it.
And if you like got a Nats invite in a open regional, it counts to get into the.
Yeah, which is cool.
And since at this point, a lot of the players who are even trying to go to Nats probably already have their invite, it just makes it more accessible to everyone else to try to get their invite as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Marcus.
They're definitely learning from the mistakes. They're adapting as a game, as a host.
Yeah, it seems like Bandai really wants to do well for the competitive scene when it comes to Dragon Ball Super. Like, as many people know, this game wasn't designed to be a competitive game from the start, and to see how they've progressed in the last year, it's actually pretty impressive.
Right, like I get frustrated reading the forums every day, and it's like everyone expects Bandai to be perfect right out the gate, and that's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it's only a 2-year-old game, right?
Yep. Like
Okay.
2.5 or
Yeah.
something like that, maybe 2 years.
Yeah. Magic and Pokemon has 20 plus years on us, so like you can't expect them to just be perfect
And-
like right at the get-go.
I think somebody also put up a chart, didn't they, with like Dragon Ball's ranking number 5th in card games? Like,
Yeah, I
Yeah, we
think
actually
it's
got
something along
booted
those
down.
lines.
It was actually higher.
Yeah, we were
But-
4th, just outside the top 3.
but I
we
think the
got
last
beat
time
by
that they did that,
Keyforge.
yeah, but the last time that they did that poll was also due to like holiday sales or whatever. And Dragon
Yeah.
Ball is much more easy for like parents or like other people can buy Dragon Ball cards as like a collector's item where not everyone knows like Yu-Gi-Oh or especially like Magic.
It's also pretty normal for like a second year lull, to where like obviously the hype is over, the flakers are gonna flake. Now is like where the ground is settled and the game will actually grow.
Yeah, not only that, but I'm pretty sure that the season in which those sales came from was during like the game's lull period where like Storm was a thing and people are already starting to lose interest.
Right.
And so that now that we're like past that, like set 6 and now it's a set 7 meta, it's like we're getting a lot of our players back.
Yeah, especially since the meta is healthy.
Exactly.
Right, like attendance is a little bit lower at regionals, but not by a very big margin. It's not by
It's like, what, 15-20% lower or something like that?
right. Like at face value, like California looks kind of bad, but like I didn't expect 500 people again.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's,
they had what was the attendance, like 70, 80 people at Gencon, and that was a con event.
Yeah, cons are ridiculously expensive.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I think that
Robert
was
kept trying to get us to go. We
that
were
was
like,
almost as many
"No."
as last year, wasn't it? I think last year they had like just over 100 people at Gen Con.
It was
Yeah.
like 90 to 100.
Yeah, so like that's not that bad in comparison.
Right, and the con events last year were kind of inflated because they were like the first events to try and get your nationals invites, and nobody realized how easy it was to get your nationals in.
with all the pass downs and everything.
Because it was pretty easy last year.
I mean, for some people, you know.
I think they need to do more national invites through a certain way, like maybe that point system that I was mentioning, or just a different kind of regionals.
Right,
I know
like-
it's not feasible to do like the Yu-Gi-Oh regionals. I think I linked it to you guys earlier. There's multiple every weekend.
Like,
But,
I
like-
really like the way they did regional or national invites last year with the national preliminaries. Like, they gave out not a lot, 2 to 3, at a local store. You know, I think it was 1 or 2 per state or something like that, as a way to give out a
It was
couple
1
more.
per state.
Yeah, as a way to give out just a few more national invites. And so, like, I like that a lot. And, you know, that helped, again, the local players have a way to get to that invitation.
Yeah.
Right, I think last year's invitational process was a lot better.
So that kind of leads us into, like, if there was one thing you had to pick that you wish they would have done better this season, what would you say? I have to say I agree on the invitational factor in that the formatting this season to get a Nats invite is kind of complex and not very local friendly, I guess you could say. We'll start with Shane though. What would you think? Or what do you wish they would have done better if you had to like pick one thing?
So, sorry, dogs fighting. Anyway, I think part of the big problem was that like they were trying to push people into local stores, but that doesn't really work when you're still forcing them to go to a regional. It's like counterproductive. People are trying to go to the local store so they don't have to go to the regional because like, you know, a lot of people can't afford it, or they don't have like the friend base to travel in a group like most of us do. So I think that was very counterproductive, and they probably shouldn't have done that.
Danny?
I'm sorry. What was the question, man?
If you had to pick something that you wish they would have done better this season in regards to organized play, what would it be?
Prize support, man. Prize support. But we already hit on what we want.
I don't know,
Like-
man. I think me and Neil are pretty happy with our prize support from this region.
Like, they've done
Hey,
well, but they definitely could do
Done
better.
well. I top 8'd the open and I got 2 packs.
Nobody cares about your pride event.
Oh my god.
I do agree. Like, it'd be nice to see, like, to be fair, it costs them almost no money to print booster boxes, like, in comparison to their retail value. And it's very easy for them to just give out product. They
Yeah,
could,
but-
and that would mean a lot to some people.
And
So,
the people
to
who
play
talk to
devil's-
them-
Go ahead.
And people who talk to them have already like advocated saying that they're going to change the system. So it'll be cool to see. We'll see next season.
Right.
Just to play devil's advocate, the prizing this year is still better than last year.
Absolutely. It has
And
gotten
it
better.
blows my mind because people will talk about how this year's is worse than last year's. I'm like, did y'all even play last year? Because it was pretty bad last year.
I didn't play last year.
I got 9th at Richmond last year, and I think I got 10 packs total and a playmat, and that was it. Like, I
Right,
got,
like even if you
yeah.
got first, you got a trophy, and then some promo packs that were worthless.
yeah, I think I got 5
The champion packs weren't
TP5.
even that good.
Right. Like, Vegeta was the only good card out of them.
No, this is last year, so well, I guess yeah, like, Vegeta was the only good card.
Yeah, the Majin
Because
Vegeta.
nobody knew that Goku was going to be a staple.
I mean,
We all
In, like,
laughed
one
at the
deck.
Goku.
so yeah, that makes sense. Nam, if you, what do you think? What would you say you wish they would have done better this year for organized play?
Their split tournament, like the invitational and the open.
Yeah.
I don't like how there were 2 different tournaments. Like it could have been. It's actually better to play in the open because it's much easier to get your invite there than the invitational.
Shots fired.
No. I can 100% attest. When I played at Dallas, I was sweating some matches. The only time I sweated was literally when I played myself. Like the open event was like,
You mean Ohio?
He was comparing Ohio to Dallas, and that Dallas
Yeah.
wasn't an exclusive tournament.
Dallas after round like 3, people started to get better. I didn't.
You also paid off the judges in Dallas.
Whoa.
don't
say
don't
stuff
put out
like
bad
that, dude.
don't put out bad rumors like that, Shane.
Just
All right,
because
it's
my
coming
God
back.
strike.
God strike the
It's
victory.
it's coming back, Danny. The people are gonna get you again.
Oh my God, Shane, stop.
Um,
I mean,
Yeah.
it was nice that we got like extra prize for or like entry for the like the stamp cards
right.
for the invitational, but I think it would have been much better just one tournament.
I will say that was pretty nice. Like having that free like $60 or $70 immediately upon entry to like double your money was pretty.
Yeah,
sold my
I agree.
First week for 100.
I like totally forgot that was even a thing.
It was just free value.
And what do you think, Neil? What do you wish they would have done better this season?
I think you guys pretty much hit all the points.
Yeah.
The only major thing is, and it's not even with the regional season as much as it is, like, if they want people to join, like, to play on a local level, then they need to give more incentive to, because the way that our TPs are, that's not an incentive to play.
Yeah, like even if you look at the tournament packs from this season, there's like what 2 relevant cards in the tournament pack, I think.
Well, actually, some of them are pretty good.
I
Right.
think the problem is like TP6 was really bad.
Yeah. It was.
Well, I just don't like the TP system in general. Like, I want to go back to like the set 2, set 3 days when like my Gohans were $70.
Well, they also
And-
gave out like a third the number of tournament packs at that time, I think.
Exactly. Like everybody, when you entered a tournament, you got one.
I
First
honestly
place
think
gets one. Everybody else gets nothing. So like, you don't have these situations where like week 2 you have all the promos and you could barely sell anything after that.
Yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense for most stores, and like I've talked to our local stores about this before. Like the first month of a new set, doing the kits, but then the second and third month, just doing like $5 entry, 2 packs ahead in price support, or like store credit, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we usually do. We change it to store credit, a little like 2 months after the kids are out.
That makes
Just-
sense.
Like once all the TP promos are worth $1, it's like why am I even bothered?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's not going to get people in the store.
Yep.
Yeah, at this point, the only people that really benefit from tournament kits are the ones that open them and sell them on release for hype prices.
Yeah, around for set 2, me and Neil would go to 2 stores a day. We would finish a tournament, just hop in the car, dash to the next
All right, we're running it back.
I remember Marcus's first tournament ever.
I learned how to
This
play the
man
day
with
before.
2 TP, 2 Gohan.
Yeah, I learned how to play the day before, and Shane's like, "Here, play this deck," and well, it turned out pretty well. And then literally in a month they were $15, and then $5, and now they're like 30 cents.
We are.
Yep.
They used to be $80.
Yeah.
It's not even that. They printed more removal is what happened.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at battle cards that cost 2, that do the same thing, like just look at Vegeta the Cruel.
Oh my God.
Best card in the set.
I agree.
One of those cards, yes.
Factually incorrect.
If either of you watched, I think our second episode, no, it might have been our first episode actually. We talked about a bunch of different stuff, and that was one of the things. And I was super hyped about Vegeta the Cruel. It's probably Denial of Hope, to be honest. Like that's probably the best card in the set.
Top 5.
Yeah, like that, Vegeta the Cruel, Kaioken, all the red-green stuff, you know.
I
I
mean,
still think the blue one is better than you give it credit for.
Bouncing cards is bad in Dragon Ball. You can combo with cards from your hand.
Not in Janemba.
It's still bad.
man, I don't see Vegeta the Cruel in any of these decks that we're going to talk about.
It's literally in
Nice.
Robert's sideboard.
It's
Sideboard.
And then
It's
in-
a pan
sideboard.
And then in the team event the next day, he put all of them in the main deck.
That's not what we're looking at though.
He went
Yeah,
4-0
to
in
be fair,
teams.
we did say we're not looking at sideboard.
I know, I'm just saying.
However, Travis did play them in the main board of his deck for the Cocoa event.
Oh yeah, he played 4 of those bitches.
I mean, they're really good. I'm just trolling Mark.
Yeah, I know.
I like the Champa a lot more, but that's just because I like Genoma.
Is there anything any of y'all wanted to say about organized play in general for this season or maybe next season?
More tournaments, more prize support. Fuck bitches, give me my money. There we go.
Yeah, definitely more tournaments. Definitely ways for people to get their invites, because for Nats to have only four, with 4 tournaments each season, 8 total is not enough.
Well, and I think they're gonna fix that. The main reason that happened is because they blew their entire budget on the celebrations.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, like there's no reason for
No reason for...
He's dealing with his dogs.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to segue him back in if it was a short interruption.
Yeah, like the celebrations was great, and it was so much value, but they did almost a little too much to
Yeah.
the fact that our regionals suffer.
You can't not go plus though off of a free event.
Yes,
the fact
but
that we had Yu-Gi-Oh players coming over to get the mat.
Super plus.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
That we
The
kinda
value
made
was infinite.
one tournament every weekend was way too much. Like, if you
That
look at
is-
the participation, it's like the first one we had a pretty good like player support, and then it just kept going down every weekend.
Yeah.
So, like, more reasonably spaced regionals, but more of them. Not necessarily,
Yes,
not 4, in a 2-month period of time, but...
Maybe
Right.
two a month sounds good, because you need that 2 week span as for off of work.
Right.
Yep.
And they
And
can
you have
even
to
do
think about
3
the
if they're
player size.
spread apart enough, like one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, one in the Midwest, one in the South. Like, spreading them out a lot would allow for more regionals in a season.
The problem with that though is that our player base at the current moment is so limited that if you were to do like those 3 events in 2 months, it would be really rough. I like the idea of two a month and then spread those out. So that might mean that like maybe the Southeast suffers and during that 2-month period we only get 1 event. But that's fine because the more serious players, might fly to an event. These are all regionals or whatever.
you say more
And it'll
serious
help.
players, but what you mean is people who live in a city that has Spirit Air.
I mean, you know what I mean. And then that'll also because a big complaint is and I think I've heard Eggman talk about it, is there's not a lot of events where or as close to where he lives at.
Okay, to be fair, he lives next to Courage the Cowardly Dog.
I get that, but there should be more events other than just, and I guess they're spread out, but I think 2 events a month is fine.
What it boils down to, I think, is kind of like what Nam was touching on, but to add to it, there's no reason for the season to be shrunken into 3 or 4 months. Just spread
Right.
it out long.
I mean, heck, it could be 8 months out of the year, easily.
It could just be year round.
I think it would also help if they gave more opportunities to get invites on a local level. So the way that Magic does PPTQs, in which you can accumulate points on a local level in order to get your invite to nationals.
Yeah, I definitely think you need to be able to get your Nats invites at locals again next season.
Yeah,
100%.
With a
so,
point system.
Exactly. If they had a point system into where, let's say, in an area is there's going to be 1 every 2 weeks in the state, in any given state, and if you accumulate enough points, then bam, you're in.
Kind of like a League Cup system from Pokemon.
Exactly.
What if they gave Nats invites for the only first place for the prelims?
That'd be a cool idea.
They give out regional invites to all, the top, however,
The
8th,
rest.
but just
Yeah.
first
Cut.
getting it.
No regional invites, just prelims are. I feel like prelims could be a way to get more national invites. Builds the player base for nationals. And then the
I
people
don't
who are
want
going to
these.
travel are going to travel anyways.
I really don't want my entire local player base to hate me again.
But it gives them a reason to play hard, I feel like. And especially if you already have your Nats invite, then it just passes down.
The problem is they don't play hard. They still just bring junk.
Well, then it's not like they're going to go to Nats anyways.
but
Yeah.
they do.
I don't know. It's a topic that doesn't have a lot of merit to it for sure, though. So, like, obviously, there's a lot of things that could go either way in the competitive organized play area for this year and next year. But let's talk about a competitive event that we just had in Gencon and some of the decks that we saw placed in the top 16. The first deck on our table here is Scott Dashy's announcer list.
Woo!
So it's pretty similar to the list he played at the last event he topped, I believe. I don't even know how different this is. I think the only difference is main decking Test of Strength, right?
Yes,
That man
and, so,
has
and that
top
makes
3
the
events
deck
with announcer.
Yeah.
and the addition of Test of Strength. Sorry, I play announcer a lot. I love it. Anyone from my locals knows that I play this deck a lot.
And
It's
he's
literally like
now
my
main
heart.
decking M2 as well, right? That wasn't a previous
Yes,
thing?
because one of your harder matchups is like Kidku.
Right.
And just decks that can spam out 5Ks. If you play the mirror, then like it's also good into that.
So obviously M2 and Tester Strength are like an ode to that because they kind of both improve your Kidku matchup.
His lack of only one Awakening Talent Pan and one Taito kind of shows that he wasn't expecting many people to be playing like the Victory Strike deck.
Well, the fair thing is that Dende just adds them to your hand.
Yeah, you don't. It does like the one of is cool and all, like, and you might worry about it, but you can just add it to your hand with.
Yeah, as long as
Dende.
it's not in your life the turn you go to search for it, then it should be fine.
Yeah.
I feel like
Effectively
Pan's still
added.
one of those cards where if you were respecting Victory Strike, you would want more.
I think you still have to play more than one. Like with the addition of like denial, hope, and stuff. It's like if they deny all that, then
Right.
you're gonna be sitting on your front side for the whole time. But which you actually want, you want to stay on the front side with
Until your kill turn.
Yeah.
So it's not
So
as bad with Announcer.
And decks that denial of hope you, if they denial of hope your pan, they're probably already goofing up something. So-
The addition of Teth the Strengths, it actually makes the second effect for Dende live. Because before it just didn't really do anything.
Right, it gives you a line that you can play a combo off of.
Yeah, and sometimes you do have those suboptimal turns. And I definitely do think that turn 2, tapping 2 for Dende isn't always the best.
No, you want to do a turn 3.
Yeah,
You do
so
that turn 3, then your turn 4 becomes Goku into Oob, into Junior, into Piccolo.
Yep.
That's just nasty.
and it's very hard to beat that if they don't have a lot of negates.
And
Very,
it's not
very
even
hard.
that weak to any of like it's obviously it can be stifled a little bit by counterplays, but for the most part it's like the combo is a go wide aggro plan that isn't directly stuffed by an unexpected turn, which is a big strength.
Yeah, and then single combos too can just win you the game. Like Test of Strength on Goku and Oob probably aren't going to be your game enders, but your game enders are probably when I play the deck, it always feels like the juniors end the game way more than like the Supreme Showdowns, just because they're. I feel like they're a little bit better, especially if you have like a bean in hand and you're already awakened, just because they swing so many times.
They just attack more, and
Yeah.
you're more likely. It feels better to sack them to Piccolo than the Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah, it definitely does. No one wants to get rid of the 35
Tell you
triple
what,
strike.
the Supreme Showdowns really put it in me when I was playing against Bonaparte with the Prince of Frieza deck.
Same thing when I was playing Demigra.
They do. I mean, same thing with me when I played against Shane in the sealed tournament.
Yeah, they're
No,
very
for
good.
sure. They're definitely powerful, and this deck will probably continue to do well because it's got so many different avenues it can play from. And
I definitely
being
think it should be a part of anyone's testing gauntlet for like Orlando and what.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
can
this deck
agree.
can blindside you hard, especially if you're not prepared for it. You're gonna get bent. I'm just saying, if you're not prepared to at least know how to beat it, this deck's gonna walk all over you.
Find yourself 2 King Piccolos and jam that in your sideboard.
Woo!
Yep, very, very good. So we'll move on to our next deck, which is Yovad's Bobbity Chain Zeno, or Chain Bobbity deck. So no main deck Overrealm, no main deck Zenos. He's just trying to get to turn 4 after ramping with Veku to play Chain Attack Trunks into a mind-controlling Bobbity to cheat into play cards like Kefla and Kaioken Son Goku, even Body Change, or another Chain Attack to play another Bobbity.
Bruh, he's playing Dark Duo
playing
Deborah. This
Deborah.
hero.
Does Deborah trigger when played from any area?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
which is
why-
why he's
that's why he's
playing
not
Gat instead of
hit.
hit.
Right, and that's what I was figuring. I just wanted to verify. So yeah,
That's why the old Shenron hand control deck played Deborah, because you could world piece it.
right. One of the weird problems with this deck, though, is that it doesn't have a way to enable Veku. So obviously, if you're playing against a strategy that can afford to not attack, and still set up its game plan, then this deck's probably a little too slow. I like the green, red, blue variant that we talked about, or that Frisco Foz put on the 3xG channel, in that it's playing Kale as a way to pop your own Veku.
Well, you can afford that in green. In mono red like this, you don't really have a way of doing that.
Right, I agree, and that's
Can
one
we
of the
also
problems.
Can we also talk about he didn't mainboard any negates?
Yeah, there's well, he
and
does.
the-
He has two. Heroic Duo
This
Vidal's
man-
negate.
Oh, sure.
So, on that note, that is my only nitpicky thing with his list, is I think he needs more Vidal.
Yeah, he could have probably cut like Unbreakable, or maybe put both body change in the sideboard or something. Like he
When
definitely.
I built it, I actually
I
just
don't
cut a Kefla for another Vidal.
I don't know. I feel like the Bobby targets are relevant. Outside of like, I think having 9 Bobby targets is good. Then again, Fearless Pan's a pretty good Bobby target, but Fearless Pan is also really good if you hit a Kefla too.
I only played 7 in my deck. There was only 7 targets for me, and it was still pretty good. But I play a way different deck. I think
Right.
Bobbity is absolutely my favorite card in the game.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely
being able to put out
Snap on
Kyle
these
Ken
now.
is so strong. When
This
you
is-
hit 2 Kyle Kens off of Bobbity, it's game breaking.
this
Game's
is
over, right?
kind of like the definition of ramp. Like when you compare Dragon Ball to other games, we haven't had a real ramp deck that felt like a ramp deck, but this deck is like doing exactly what ramp does in every other game. You get a bit more mana and you just start slamming the biggest, meanest things you can.
Oh man, when that new starter deck comes out, the ramp deck will be real.
Yeah.
It'll be an actual ramp deck.
Oh, it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun.
Not at all.
Yeah, I don't want to live in a world where turn 4 my opponent goes, "Oh, you didn't kill me, Bobby, Kyle Ken," and I go, "Man, I guess I'm just taking it."
I mean, is it any worse than High to Mastery, Victory Strike, or Shenron?
You already know my thoughts on how to master Victory Strike.
Repeat it for the masses.
Fuck that deck.
There we go.
No, I'm pretty sure you would make some comment about how only dumb people can win with that deck.
No. I said if you can only win with that deck, then you're bad and the card's just carrying.
All right,
Shots fired. Pew, pew.
onto our next deck. We have Dende Scuffle Time UI.
This is the deck I don't see lasting.
Yeah, I mean it's fragile. Like there's a lot of things that hurt this deck between striving to be the
Senzu
best. The Sensu Bean. A Sensu Bean is like it's good against it, but not that good because like Scuffle Time Goten is a 20k. But yeah, I get it. And like some of the strength you have in attacking with this deck is with Trunks and Otokusuki being like 15ks, multiple attacks.
And it just struggles with other aggro decks.
Right, because it's a
not
deck
only
that
that-
takes its own life.
And if any deck has Toki Toki, like any of the Demigra Toa decks, they're gonna have no openings Goku to just shut down the combo.
Yep. So like this deck being shut down by no openings completely, this deck being hurt by cards like Striving and the Supreme Kai, and this deck being hurt by untap effects. Like all of those different avenues to hurt this deck means it's good at the beginning of a format when nobody knows what to do and you're more likely to dodge sideboard hate, but it's probably never going to win an event.
It's not playing any crashes. If anybody resolves a Gorgos,
Yep.
his deck does nothing.
Absolutely, I agree.
Ooh, I don't know about that. What does it do?
Borgos?
Pops and
Borgos.
energy.
Oh,
Sorry,
this
I
deck-
think it's a Crisis Crusher.
This deck revolves around
Oh, sure.
playing multiple Gotens to attack multiple times, and it untaps energy every time you do it.
It's
It's
kind
good
of
for
like
Team
Swan.
Wars.
Yeah, we actually found at the local game store. We actually found Ultra Instincts in their binder for like, what was it, $3 a piece?
Yeah.
So I swiped those up for this deck for Team.
But the yeah, it's good in Team Wars, just like the what's it called, the decks with the Shugesh were like powerful in Team Wars because you just kind of dodged hate a lot of the time, and this deck
Unless
can do
you're
the same
Ryan
thing.
Miller.
Yeah, right. But this deck can do the same thing a lot of the time. So it just aggressively punches damage in early as fast as it can to get your opponent to 3, and then it tries to finish with Ultra Instinct. It also has the option of just punching them to 4, and then triple striking them with Ultra Instinct to 1 and finishing them with Mira, but that's not nearly as reliable.
Yeah. Overall, really cool to see in the top. I don't know that we'll see it top anytime soon if we're expecting it.
Right, I can agree with that. Our next deck is a pretty spicy one. It is Toa with the Skillless engine. So we have the whole Goku Android 8 package and only 4 vanillas. There's no Training Buddy Krillins because he doesn't have any... like he's an Overwhelm deck, so he can't really afford to do that. But he's adding putting Trunks into play either with Goku's effect or with Dimension support. He's adding card advantage, plain and simple, with Goku. And he's got the whole Toa Mira package. I guess it gives him a more aggressive avenue to play early and allows him to finish with Mira more readily.
It also gives you something to do with your mana.
Right.
Because one thing that I noticed a lot when I was playing Toa, and I love playing Toa, is that a lot of the times you just leave 2 to 3, 4 mana open sometimes. You just don't really do anything. So
Right.
like having this aggro version is actually pretty sweet.
This deck probably would be super viable, even in a solved format, if we had a 30k black vanilla. Because Toa, if I'm not mistaken, puts black cards from your drop, or your warp back into your drop, right?
It does to set up for an Overwhelm. That would be a little bit clunky.
Well,
But,
the
I
reason
mean,
why I
even
mentioned the reason why I mentioned is because both Vegeta and Toa giving you re-access to vanillas that like you've warped essentially means your Gokus are never dead.
Sure. I mean, and you can sacrifice like 1 or 2 slots to put a vanilla or even like a Champa in the deck, and
Right.
it's not going to hurt you too much. But any more than like 1 or 2 cards, I wouldn't try going off color.
Yeah, and that's specifically why I said like if we had a black 30k, it would make a big difference.
Yeah.
The 3 power burst is kind of weird, but I guess he had to make room somewhere, right?
Yes and no. I mean, when I played in Richmond, did I play in Richmond? Yeah, Richmond. I only played 3, and that's because I didn't think I need it. Now that the format is a lot slowed down and it's not compressed until like 3 to 4 turns, I think you do need more power bursts.
Just so that you can survive some more powerful plays throughout the course of a game.
Yeah, because the games
Fair.
are going a little longer now.
Right.
That's fair. Maybe you cut a ball. I don't know.
I mean, there's a bunch of ways to play Toa. Black leaders are pretty impressive in general, and this was just one of those ways, and it succeeded at the last event to a pretty good result.
Yeah. Pretty cool to see.
Our next deck is one from one of our own teammates, Robert Reitz, and his red-green pan list. This was a list that we had been talking about for a while, and he tested thoroughly with some of our other members down in Tampa. This is utilizing the green vanilla 2-drop Son Goku, the OG, with Dimension support as a way to make your Special Beam Cannon Piccolos live for 1 energy. And for people that don't know, that's just playing Goku off of Dimension support. You use Pan's effect to give the Goku the power, and then because it's 20k power, you can play the Piccolo for free. A lot of the powerful lines that this deck has revolves around familial bonds. So while it seems like a clunky card, the fact that you can turn 1 defend with Digging Deep or defend with a double shot and combo a Digging Deep, and then turn 2 familial bonds, put Digging Deep into play, and make multiple attacks in 1 turn, stuff like that. It leads this deck to readily kill in 3, maybe 4 turns on average.
Yeah, a friend came over last night and he was playing this build. He played it a little differently. He had 3 Kaiokens in.
The 4-drop?
The new Gencon, yeah, which wasn't out for this event, I believe. So he couldn't play it.
Right.
But this deck is scary. He got to turn 3 and he could awaken that turn, and he had like 8 things on board, and I was like, I don't even know how that happened.
The thing to note about the Kaioken is because it's a 20k base, if you play it as your first battle card and it gets pumped by Pan, you won't be able to play Piccolo, unfortunately. So that's something you'll have to make sure you sequence properly. But otherwise, it's just a Chain Attack Zeno Pan deck, though there are a few odd inclusions. And Robert did state that majority of the time, he just wished Zeno was in his sideboard instead, rather than his main board.
Yeah.
And make room for them Vegetas.
Right.
Ooh.
Is there anything y'all want to say about this deck specifically?
This deck's hot. Screw you, Rob, for making this deck good.
Yeah, I really like this deck. The introduction of the extra card, you can get like at least 50% of his deck to be played. Like with Fearless Pan, if he already has a board, digging deep to help him awaking.
Or just add more pressure.
Yeah, burst attack. Yeah, I mean, obviously add pressure, but burst attack if he's like kind of low and he has like dead cards in his hand.
Yeah, I like the feeling that he can cut back and play like 2 Fearless Pan, 2 Digging Deep, 2 or 3 burst attacks, and like have 4 more copies of all of those cards.
Yeah, I think he said that every game that he could resolve Familiar Bonds to get Digging Deep out on turn 2 to make it a 25k swing, he won. Which makes sense because 2 25k swings on turn 2 is pretty nutty.
Yeah, definitely.
I think his decision to put Vegeta in the main board for Team Sunday was probably my favorite thing because I thought the deck was just a little tiny bit low on group.
Yeah, he definitely plans on for the team event, like Shane said, he added the Vegetas to the main deck, and I think he took the Zenos out. I'm not entirely certain though, but Vegeta the Cruel I think definitely deserves a spot in the main deck, but you would have to fit more dual colored cards in your deck to make it viable.
That's fine. You got plenty of targets. You got the SCR, you got the Kaioken from the starter deck.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, there's plenty of targets that are reasonable now.
Yep.
Then we'll move on to our last deck, which was one of the top 4 players. It was Rishi Chaudhry playing the new Kaba leader with the... it's like a Storm Ape style deck that fluctuates between control and aggro easily. I don't know much about this deck, but I know, from what I understand, it's pretty impressive if you can resolve the Vados Champa card.
Which is really easy to resolve.
Yeah, it's a rival for 1 yellow, so
right.
You can either do it on defense on turn 1 and pretty much just go off. This is more of an aggro version of the deck, really low to the ground. You just start spamming your dudes, and Sisterly Bond's Kale, the one from the starter deck, I mean, you just play that, you get the boost from Kaba, take a life, search out for a Kali Flood, probably want to do the drop, take a life, or up to 2 life, because you can take a life with Kali Flood, another 5k, and then when you have Vados out, you can just start comboing in the 20ks and
for the free evolves and more attacks.
Yeah, I think
no, go for it.
So I think the turn 1 players to play the Caulifla, and then turn 2 they get the Champa and Vados out, and then from there it just spirals into screw me, I'm never gonna have energy up.
Rishi's list is playing both Planet Salada and Planet Vegeta, which or Sadala, excuse me, which I think is like one of those things where a lot of players are split on that because not finding Planet Sadala to be that relevant, but I don't know. The list seems fine. He's not on the top end with Meteoric Energy Kefla. Like you said, he's mostly an aggro deck, and I think it's pretty sweet. The deck looks really cool.
You play the Sadala first, and then you get the effect. You play a dude out. You'll get an extra draw from it, and then if you play Kaba, then you get more effects out of it. And
right.
The Planet Vegeta is a way to 1, search out your deck because you're going to get a sand that's 4-drop or less, and then 2, you're going to KO the Planet Sadala so that you can get that search going on.
Yep. No, it's totally reasonable. It seems like one of those draws. If you have the Planet Sadala into Planet Vegeta, your turn probably isn't explosive, but you're going to have a much more powerful turn 3 or turn 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I like Sadala because just being able to, because you're basically replacing the card with a battle card anyway, so you're just getting more free value out of it. The way I see it. Whoa.
That's a fair way to see it. It's it's definitely one of those cards that I think is going to be on player preference until the format gets solved. But it's definitely a really fun deck to play into. Don't get me wrong. Playing against it was was pretty unbearable. I won't lie. It sucked. It sucked a lot.
Yeah, I really like this. I think this is probably the deck I've been playing this format, but I haven't decided yet. I really like it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be on
Nice.
Pan personally, but there's a bunch of ways this could go. I like the ramp deck a lot, and I like Announcer a good bit if I can get enough of the promos. So, like, there's a few decks that I'm definitely interested in.
Announcer's super cheap. Those promos are not worth a lot at all.
Yeah, they're not.
Especially if you're only main decking one Mutaito.
Sure. I meant the actual combo cards, like the Vegeta Juniors and Goku Juniors. They're dirt cheap. That won't be hard to find.
Yeah, I think you can buy the deck for like $30.
Yeah, so I mean, the all these new decks in Set 7 definitely look sweet, and I'm glad to see a variety of them in the top 16 of Gen Con.
Yeah, it was cool. I wish they would have streamed it though.
I love how there were 8 different leaders in top 8.
Yeah, it was actually really sweet.
Hopefully the format keeps up with that, and like it's not solved where someone makes some like busted like tier 0 deck. I don't think it will. It doesn't seem that way.
Even when the format's solved, I think this format's just going to be diverse in general. Obviously, it's not going to stay that diverse, but it'll stay pretty diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if anything comes out as tier 0.
Well,
I don't
think that's
mind
natural.
the format going back to the triangle, like in set 1, set 2, where we had like the 3 decks that were the best. We had Cell, we had Vegeta, and then Ginyu, I think it was the last one.
Mega Frieza.
It was tricolor Ginyu.
I know it's easier to like have a competitive format in that fashion, but it's definitely more suffocating for a local scene if your player base doesn't adapt properly.
Yeah. I like
Trust
having
us,
as
we would
many decks as possible.
Most definitely. A lot of players like to play their theme kind of decks.
Right.
They love how to play, like, there's Black. You would love, I would love to have Goku Black or Zamasu be, one of our top tier decks, but just haven't solved it yet.
Yeah. I just like the fact that you can pretty much take it, like if it has any kind of meta, like if it's metally viable, if you're comfortable with the deck, you can do very well with it.
Yep.
I like those type of formats.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about a lot here. Is there anything y'all wanted to say before we close out?
I will.
Sure.
All right, everybody, don't forget about the Dabbers 2K, September 28th. You can find Dabbers on Facebook, and they do have their own YouTube channel, which is Dabbers LLC, where I know Kyle's been working hard about uploading a lot of deck profiles from events recently, so y'all should check that out. And all right, that's it for me.
And other than that, you can find us, GnG Elite, on Facebook. This was your GnG Elite Dragon Ball Super Team, and stay elite.